Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. It seemed like a slow ending to a horror movie. The dim street lamps shifted the dark skies into an eerie coffee night, only punctuated by the cream of the moon. As I approached the point where the safety of sidewalk met the grief of gravel, I caught a quick glimpse of a sign partially buried in the ground next to the piece of rusted metal it used to hang from. It warned, "Do not enter." But it was the quickest way home, so nevertheless I pushed forward, trying to tiptoe my way across fragments of broken glass. This black hole of a path was squeezed between two abandoned buildings and bordered basement-like conditions. The moonlight cried on the concrete walls, and you could clearly see the imprint of pain left on fire escapes. Dumpsters became grocery stores to stray cats. And curiosity wasn't going to kill this one. So I marched on. I would say the wind howled, but after my second step into eternity, the only thing that lingered on the lips of a dying breath was my name. Like a student, in the final seconds of detention, I was this close to making it out of captivity when death called. A silent click led to a sharp sensation in my back that changed the way I stepped. A cold tap on my shoulder spun me around, and that's when I shook hands with the adrenaline that rushed out the barrel and into my veins. That blast from a gun sent a bullet whistling through the air, and every fiber of hair on my body stood at attention as if waiting for some dramatic outcry of emotion. I could have swore I heard that bullet pass me. That could have very well been the echo of disbelief that ricocheted off these walls. Hallowed be thy name. When I looked down, I noticed that a whirlpool of despair drilled its way into my body and left pride poured in puddles of blood. My knees buckled to the bone, and I fell down to the ground with my eyes wide shut, left lifeless on pavement, locked in this classroom. 30 minutes after the bell rang, white lights, black space, white lights, black space. Do you know what it feels like to literally hang in the balance? Trust me, I got the best of both worlds that night. All I remember hearing was, inbound, 26-year-old black male, victim of a shooting, in full arrest, trauma code, epinephrine, CPR in progress, charge in 3, 2, 1. That gunshot left me in critical condition. But I left that gunshot in hypocritical condition. Let me explain. There's a thin line between love and hate, and I walked it the best I could. Not even the Ringling brothers could outdo how well I tight-roped. I mean, Cirque du Soleil had nothing on me. I balanced my trust in God and my in God I trust like debit and credit accounts. As long as everything was equal in the end, there was no way my liability could become a liability. But now I'm here stuck in the interrogation room of my mind, stuck in the laundry room full of closed hearts, confessing that the only thing I'm worthy of is blame. If I die right now, if my lungs fail to inhale mercy just one more time and I go from being endangered to extinct, I want you to understand. I want you to understand. I want you to understand that hell is real just as much as God is. If you were there with me, you'd have noticed that I smelled like a rose pollinated by gunpowder. I felt like I was stripped of life and raped by reasons I knew nothing of. I tasted death over and over and was forced to choke on its unending pit. And yes, I reached for the hem of his garment, but my faith fell short. So I ended up with a handful of sackcloth and ashes. If I could force repent down God's throat, I would. God, please. You are my lifesaver. And I am drowning in an ocean full of regrets. There are no words to express how filthy I feel every time I break your heart. You see, I built up layers on top of layers on top of layers on top of my heart that I need you to peel back. God, please. Everything was so bright and white inside that hospital room, like they were trying to midwife the birth of a blessing from the sting of death. The air reeked of fear, of nerves, and chlorine. It was the smell of a day-to-day routine that followed the doctors and lingered in the silhouette of light behind cold metal doors. It was the same light that's supposed to reassure you monsters aren't around, actually means that monsters are real. And after a couple of second-class, mediocre, run-of-the-mill, pedestrian efforts, these monsters named me victim, but little did they know that the only man with the ability to ransom me from the power of the grave was about to make an appearance. You see, the sudden, incessant beating of my heart reverberated through my body like the sound of tribal drums, although my flesh sank deeper into sterile mattress, which seemed to be indented with years of anticipation and anguish. My spirit rejoiced as a vessel of victory who threw up a prayer with less than a second on the clock for a game-winning three whose goal tended to my every foul, intentional or not. Jesus has no problem being your rebound. I know what it feels like to have your back against a wall, but at least you're on the right side. And I know what it feels like to have Humpty Dumpty your way into sin, but the King is here to put you back together. Listen, I know what it feels like to have Humpty Dumpty your way into sin, but the King is here to put you back together. My brothers and sisters, problems will arise, evil will present itself, but God